Vajrasattva because Vajrasattva is on the crown of your head rather than in front of you like some of the other deities are.
Yeah, I leave that one to the end because I do the longer mantra for that at the end. I do Buddha and Chenrezig at the beginning with the Om Mani Padme Hum mantra. But I do the other ones in between there after taking a moment in between each one to, you know, sort of, is that strange to bring like the merit field and have all of them there, but then they sort of center differently? Is that?
That's okay. You like in someone's individual practice, they might first of all have all of the deities and the gurus. Gurus all should always be visualized above the deities and the Buddhas.
Okay.
And the Buddhas above the deities.
And then the Dharma and Sangha sort of.
So Dharma, different ways of doing. Sometimes you imagine next to each individual a little pile of scriptures which are their particular teachings. Like if it's Chenrezig, the Chenrezig Tantra, or life story of Chenrezig, if it's Shakyamuni, all of his teachings. And that's one way of visualizing the Dharma. All of the pages you imagine as are written in gold on thin sheets of lapis lazuli, sort of signifying its preciousness. And that's radiant. If you take refuge in Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, when you take refuge to Buddha, imagine white light coming from the Buddha, purifying you, white light coming from the Dharma when you say, I go for refuge in the Dharma, white light coming from the Sangha. And then the second time, imagine yellow light coming, bringing the blessings of the realizations. So you can do that, or you can imagine just all of the teachings, all of the Dharma in the back, sort of say, there are different ways to visualize. So you find what's, in a separate place, just the Dharma.
Yeah.
Good evening, David, Susie, Giovanna, Michael, Julie.
One more quick question, if I could. So along similar lines, this field of all the people in my life, the Sangha and everyone. So in the Shakyamuni one, in the beginning, there's light emanating from every pore and all, into all of the beings, right? Right, coming out and going into all of the beings, filling us up, and then it comes out of us and into each other, right? We share it amongst, like it's almost. I think of that in terms of sort of like a oneness, like that we become one. There is no discernment between anyone in this merit field, but it is just the like Buddha mind.
I suppose that's possible. I've never heard that particular visualization, but sometimes if you visualize Shakyamuni in front, and as you're reciting the mantra, light comes and purifies you and purifies all sentient beings. And then Shakyamuni comes to the crown of your head, comes down to your heart, and you imagine unifying your consciousness with the omniscient mind of Guru Shakyamuni. And then you arise in the form of Shakyamuni, and you would again send out light and enlighten all sentient beings, leading them on the path through purifying them, teaching them how to purify negative karma, teaching them how to observe the Dharma, and even giving them tantric initiations. Just imagine this, and they all become Buddhas, and at the end, you rejoice, thinking, I've accomplished my aim at the beginning to benefit all sentient beings.
Thank you.
So let's stop there because we're already a minute in. Donna, can I lead a meditation first, or did you want to do your little ritual thing?
No, we'll do that at the end. And so
Okay.
Go ahead and lead a meditation for us. Thank you.
Okay. So as a prelude to our class, as we've done in the other weeks, we're trying to set a very special motivation. So the idea is to sequentially calm the mind of distracting thoughts now by watching the breathing, develop greater concentration by watching the nature of your mind, conventional nature of your mind, again, letting go of thoughts. And then in that sort of state in which you've emptied thoughts, so to speak, you suppress them, then to replace some content in the mind with a virtuous motivation, virtuous states of mind, of faith and Bodhicitta and so forth. So sit comfortably, relax your body and mind. Remember, you don't have to think of anything else now. Watch your breathing. Or as I mentioned in the class the other day, see if you can hear your heartbeat or feel or sense it. Sometimes when you're laying your head on the pillow, if your head is in a certain position, you can feel the pulse. You don't have to do anything to create that heartbeat or the pulse. It's there, just there, you're just watching it. In the same way, just watch your breathing. Pay attention to it. Once you've recognized it, keep it in your memory, in your mindfulness. With a little factor of wisdom, recognizing when you're breathing in and when you're breathing out. If some thought arises, just let it go. Even if you think, oh, there's some chore I have to do, or I have to fill out my income tax or something, just leave it. When you're first starting out and there's a consciousness of your body, maybe pain or thoughts, memories, worries, you can imagine as you breathe in also very gently white light coming from all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas through your nostrils, filling up your body and the inhalation. And as you breathe out, imagine that has burned up all of the pain in your body, negative thoughts, the wind energy upon which those thoughts depend. Imagine breathing that out in the form of black smoke to the beyond this world system, beyond the universe, and then begin again. White light relaxing you, breathing out all of your faults in the form of black light and Sutra. If your mind is a little bit calmer, breathing's become a little more regular. And if you do this by yourself, you can do much longer. You can do 21, 50 inhalations until you feel calm. But if your mind is a little calmer now, let go of your attention to the breathing and instead focus on your mental consciousness. Mental consciousness is transparent, has no shape or color, so very difficult to notice, to recognize. One thing to remember, it's not your eyes. Tell yourself, scan through the sense. It's not my eye consciousness I'm going to pay attention to. Not my ear consciousness. Not my nose smell consciousness. Not the tongue or taste consciousness. Not the body consciousness that's aware of the sensations in your body, sensations of hot and cold and so forth. Your mental consciousness is that within which you ask yourself questions. What am I supposed to be doing? What's going on? It's the consciousness within which we remember. Sense consciousnesses don't have a general kind of memory. They have a little bit of recollection of things, but they don't have memory. We make plans within our mental consciousness. We make judgments. Let go of, once you've noticed some content in your mind, some images perhaps, or emotional states, anger, attachment, jealousy, worry, confusion. Let go of that content. That is to say, by let go, that means don't pay attention to it, feeding it, giving it longevity, but turn your attention to the spaciousness of the mind within which that thought or image or sound or whatever is emerging, is arising. Look at the subjective mind rather than the objective thought. Once you get a little sort of sense, a little hint of that subjective mind's clarity, you'll probably lose it. Maybe you'll have an image of your body or space or something. Let that go again. Through practice, through repetition, through familiarity, you can keep a continuity of that clarity of the mind. Like a vast space, no shape and color, not known by your eye consciousness, not sort of a visual object, but an understanding by your mental consciousness that this is the lack of any obstruction by the mind, like space. Ordinary space, we say, is the lack of obstructing contact. Here it's the spaciousness of the mind, the conventional spaciousness, is the lack of any quality or factor of the mind that would keep thoughts embedded within it, that would prevent them from leaving or prevent new thoughts from arising. We can completely transform ourselves, recognizing this nature, which is clear, conventional clear light nature mind, also called the developmental Buddha nature, a sign that we can develop all of the qualities that the Buddhas have developed. There's nothing that's beyond us. We can eliminate all the faults from the mind, even our confusion, anger, attachment, so forth. This is a great resource when you're feeling down, when you're feeling incapable or confused or sad, angry, whatever. Let those thoughts go and look at the nature of your mind. Remind yourself, you don't need to be unhappy. Don't focus on the thoughts that energize an unhappiness or the thoughts that energize your attachment or jealousy or whatever. The fact that we can look at this Buddha nature right now, this conventional clear light nature of the mind, is a result of us being born as a human, right here and now, when the teachings of Shakyamuni Buddha, who lived 2,500 years ago approximately, they were given. Many world systems, the Buddhas never appear. Those teachings still are utilized by people. They're still fresh, so to speak. They're not stale, that people don't understand the meaning or how to put them into practice, how to implement them. We're free from states in which we would have no freedom to practice, such as being born in hell or as an animal, as a barbarian, or in a non-religious country that's has laws that compel us not to practice religion. There are other practitioners, we could say community, Sangha, that help us in our practice. We have some degree of faith and interest. All of this is a result of our having created virtuous actions in past lives. Very strong actions, virtuous actions that gave rebirth as a human in this very unique situation. How much virtue are we creating now for our future? I think I must, as much as I can appreciate this present opportunity, it's impermanent, transitory. Every second we're getting closer to death. So at the very minimum, I want to be able to purify the negative actions that I've created now and in previous lives that are the potentials for which, the karmic seeds for which are still on my mind stream. And as much as possible, removing or causing those negative karmic seeds to lose their potency, replace them with virtuous karmic seeds, practicing generosity and ethics, morality, patience, and so forth. These can help us find peace of mind now, maybe Dharma happiness now, and we can create the karma to have a human life like this in the future, a life of leisure and endowment, not just a simple human life where we're distracted by worldly goals. We could even achieve liberation from cyclic existence if we developed renunciation, and a deep wisdom that understands selflessness. We could even achieve enlightenment by adding the factor of Bodhicitta, this special mind we've been talking about 2 previous weeks. Reach out with your mind, imagining all living beings in space, some in the hell realm, some in the animal realm, some in the preta realms, insects and animals on earth, birds above. All of them, along with all humans, all desire realm gods, all form realm gods, all formless gods, every sentient being has been in intimate relation with us during the course of beginningless lives. They've all been our mother numberless times, each and every one, our present mother included. Our present mother has been mother sometime in the past, maybe a long gap before that, she was our mother again and again. And during those lives, all sentient beings have been kind, guarding us, protecting us, just like animals instinctually protect their young, bringing us nutrition, food. We see the birds feeding their babies, animals going off to get food for their young. They've educated us, protected us. They've even given their life for us again and again and again. All these living beings are in exactly the same situation as we find ourselves, in the sense that we're embedded, so to speak, in cyclic existence, in samsara, under the control of past karmic actions that we've created, which were caused by delusions, afflictions that are still in our mind, anger, attachment, ignorance, jealousy, pride, and so forth. Most living beings, especially those in the hell realms, animal realms, and so forth, have no protection, have no guide. They're caught up in the appearances of this life, wanting to be happy, but often in the pursuit of that, creating the causes of suffering through negative actions, maybe stealing, thinking that that will make you happy, or acting unethically, giving power to control others. All of them want to be free of suffering, but are simply creating the causes for future suffering. If we can imagine a brother or sister or mom or dad that we haven't seen for some time, and we encounter them in a different period of our life, maybe at first we don't even recognize them. They're poor, they're living, they're homeless. Once we recognize that they had been our mother, a great sense of responsibility for them would arise as a result of our love for them. See if you can engender that same feeling for all sentient beings. There are no sentient beings who are always enemies, who are definitely enemies. All living beings have been equally our friend, enemy, and stranger in numberless lives. with a sense of responsibility for them. How wonderful it would be if we could alleviate their suffering and set them in real happiness, stable, long-lasting happiness. But right now we can't even help ourselves often. What we have to be able to do is elevate our own mind from life to life, guiding our loved ones and strangers and even enemies from life to life, with the aim of eventually becoming enlightened, to become a Buddha for the sake of all sentient beings, where we can effortlessly and spontaneously lead them out of suffering, place them into everlasting blissful happiness. To be able to do that, we need to know the stages of the path, the Lamrim, such as the text that we're studying again tonight on the section on Bodhicitta. To make a motivation. This is why I'm going to participate tonight. Not simply to accumulate more knowledge alone, but as a means of accumulating the methods to tame my mind, become a better person, to become less harmful to others, and to actually eventually be able to benefit them. I'm going to participate this evening, listen, contemplate, and meditate in order to achieve the state of omniscience, the state of a Buddha eventually, for the sake of all mother sentient beings. Then bring your attention back to the here and now, present. Relaxing your body and mind. Anyone have any questions? Any thoughts or confusions? Oh, there's Nadine from Germany. Okay. So we have people all over again. Seems to be fewer people tonight, Donna. Is it some other activities going on? Maybe it's just getting close to Christmas.
I think it may be just that it's getting close to Christmas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so I'm going to hand it over to Donna for a second, who wants to organize, if I'm not mistaken, or is it at the end?
At the very end.
Oh, at the very end.
Because it's to say thank you.
Okay. Let's offer a mandala offering. Okay, so any questions? Nothing? Giovanna, you look like you might have a question. No?
No, I don't have question. I'm only very tired. I'm in Europe at this
Okay.
moment.
Okay, good.
Oh.
So, but I saw Julie raised her hand. She has a question. I think Julie Lewis.
My question is, how
Never mind.
does the Buddha appear as inanimate objects such as books and different objects in your house?
I lost him. I lost his face.
Right. It's said in the scriptures, right? Yeah, I don't know if you have any experience of that. Well, let's say when the Buddha appears to sentient beings, it is an appearance through his omniscient mind, right? His Dharmakaya. And the two ways, the two kind of form entities that the Buddha possesses are called the enjoyment body the Sambhogakaya. Have you heard of that, Julie? Sambhogakaya?
Yes.
And the Dharmakaya, which is, like say, Shakyamuni Buddha. They are not flesh and blood, although they look that way to ordinary people.
Yeah.
They're emanations of the Buddha's mind. So if the Buddha can emanate as a body, he can also emanate as a bridge, as a boat when you're drowning, or a rope or something like that, as an island when you're in the sea and floundering around. Depends on your karma. So the Buddha, those kinds of emanations, generally in our world, those would be called emanations of the Dharmakaya, of the Nirmanakaya, emanations of the Buddha. Generally, when you say Nirmanakaya, you think of the Buddha, body, the Buddha's body, and so forth. But there are other kinds of emanations of the Nirmanakaya, as a bridge, or an island, or so forth and so on. Maybe the books in your house, and so forth. They're emanations of the Buddha's mind through his omniscient powers. Maybe that doesn't tell you any more than you knew before. Does that help at all?
So does that mean that everything that we see is?
The Buddha? No.
Yeah.
No. You see me, I'm not the Buddha.
All right. Yeah, that doesn't make sense. But so how do you discern which?
So this is not the Buddha.
How do
No,
you discern?
you wouldn't necessarily know that that's the Buddha. The Buddha may appear in various forms to aid sentient beings if they have the karma, and it would be beneficial for them. You would not necessarily, it's not like the rock would say, "Hey, I'm the Buddha," or something like that, or the book would
I would be scared
open a
if the
mouth
rock
or
said
something. Yeah,
that.
that would be a little bit scary. But so in our world, there's no way to know if your neighbors are maybe emanations of Buddha. It may be that you're about to be hit by a car coming at you in an intersection, and another car hits it and knocks it out of the way. Maybe that other car that caused the accident and saved your life, maybe that's an emanation of Buddha. You don't know. What's important to recognize is that the Buddhas they promised, and they do appear as teachers in the world, and that we should try to recognize our teachers, this is Geshe-la at the center, the Dalai Lama, Lama Zopa Rinpoche, as representatives of the Buddha, as in a deeper sense, as their body and speech blessed by the Buddha's inspiration, as what they teach, as if we recognize their speech as though blessed by the Buddha, as the Buddha's speech, and we follow it sincerely, with effort, assiduously, that we will receive the same blessings to our mind as if the actual emanation body of Buddha, Shakyamuni Buddha, was here teaching us. There's nothing that Shakyamuni would be teaching us that our gurus are not teaching us. So that's sort of the crucial recognition of how we try to recognize Buddha affecting our lives. So even the words of the book. So you were saying sometimes your book maybe, you could kind of think that this is the speech of the Buddha, and that is guiding you. I might have mentioned before there was this English Catholic priest who went to India some years ago, Bede Griffiths. Did anyone hear of Bede Griffiths? I always called it Bede, but they say Bede. I think they just said Bede Griffiths. And he tried to express Catholicism to the Indians. You know, he took the guise of wearing dhoti, or the Indian clothes, and all the Indian mannerisms, and he would meditate like also the Hindus meditate. And he wrote a book called Jesus is My Guru, because he knew that, you know, the Indians believe very much, you know, Guruji. Have you been to India, any of you? You know, yeah, gurus all over the place. So you read about them. Don Brown's been to India. That's surprising. I never would have guessed. Teasing. So the idea is that, so if you think Jesus is your guru, you read the Bible, you read the New Testament, what Jesus said, then you think, oh, that's instruction for me. But we have living emanations of the Buddha, or even if we doubt, maybe, you know, so-and-so is not actually Buddha, but they have all this knowledge and quality, they practice, you know, as a Buddha should, but the Buddha's promised that they would bless the mind stream of that individual, so that whatever they said, however they acted, if it was perceived by the disciples as the actions of a Buddha, that disciple would receive the same benefit of having received teachings from the actual Buddha. So that's the crucial point here, Julie, rather than trying to see the Buddha in books or, you know, rocks or something like that. Okay? Is that okay? Julie?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
okay.
that was very good. It explains what I needed to know, and thank you.
Yeah, okay, good. So we are, I am, and you are reading this text that was taught, essentially a teaching that Pabonka Rinpoche gave, the great Gelugpa Lama, a long time ago. These notes were also sort of, what do you call it, transcribed. That's the word I mean. Trijang Rinpoche took notes, probably talked to other people who were at the teachings, and comprised the teachings as written. Pabonka Rinpoche didn't write this text. He did write some other things himself, like Yamataka Sadhana and other things, different kinds of complicated texts. But these Lam Rim teachings, the Liberation in Your Hand, which is another one, and this one that David Gonzalez translated, this was actually an oral lectures over many days, transcribed. And we were talking, we've been talking about the benefits of bodhicitta for the last two times. And we just gotten up to the point, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Donna, we're up on page 454 on the actual stages of the training of the mind, or did we skip, have we still something to go from before?
The point that I had us at is a section that is titled, we will quickly
complete.
all the grounds
All
of
right,
it.
okay, good. A page before that. So on page 452, this is one of the, what would this be? The eighth, the ninth benefit of bodhicitta. There's numberless benefits of bodhicitta, but the sort of 10 important ones that we've been talking about. We've finished 8. So the ninth one, we will quickly complete all the grounds and paths. So what that means is all of the stages, you know, when we talk about Lam Rim, Lam means path, right? Do you know what it is in Indian? Is there Indian? Something, there was one of our Indian students who were here before. What is India? What is path in Indian? In nowadays in Hindu? Anyone know? If you go down in Delhi, there's this and that marg, this and that marg. Marga in Sanskrit means the same as we say lam, path, you know, something that gets you to a destination. So grounds means the particular realizations in those paths that act as support for higher realizations. So we say the grounds and paths, or the paths and grounds. you'll completely, if you have bodhicitta, you'll completely, quickly complete or finish all of the stages that are necessary to make realizations. The text says, if you have bodhicitta in your mental continuum, you will quickly complete all the grounds and paths. A sutra called the Liberation, is that too bright? Is that okay? The piece of paper I've used to block this light, is that okay?
It's fine.
A sutra called the Liberation of Maitreya Sutra states, bodhicitta is like the seed of all the Buddha Dharma. Seeds are what give rise to fruits, right? Like a field that increases the virtuous Dharma of all migrating beings. Like the earth that supports all of the cities, the world, everything in the world. Earth, the ground, like the water that purifies all stains of the afflictive emotions, like the wind for all the worlds without a support, like the fire that incinerates all roots of tenacious views, like the sun that illuminates the abodes of living beings, like the moon that completely envelops the mandalas of all virtuous dharmas, like a lamp that illuminates the Dharma, like eyes that thoroughly perceive what is similar and dissimilar. There are many teachings such as this. Through relying on the kindness of bodhicitta, you will quickly complete the path as well as the result of the Mahayana. Okay, I have a question for you. Who can I ask here? Ali Kozail Bola. It says, through relying on the kindness of bodhicitta. Is bodhicitta kind?
From what I understand, it's compassion for all living beings. So I would assume that would be kindness and not doing harm to others.
Well, if you have bodhicitta, yeah, but just say bodhicitta in general, or let's say the Dharma. Can we say that the Dharma is kind? The teachings of the Buddha?
I mean, I feel like that's kind of a trick question because
I'm
one of
not
the
trying to
core
trick you,
concept.
It's something to think about when we say, we talk about the guru is kind. That makes sense. They do things, they practice very strictly for themselves so that they can teach and so forth and lead us. The Sangha is kind, they keep vows and act as examples for us. But how can you talk about something like the Dharma in general, or even, well, you have a good point about bodhicitta is a state of mind which is compassionate, but how can you say these things themselves are kind?
Well, I wouldn't really say that anything is inherently like any characteristic due to the nature of impermanence and how everything's changing, and you don't know the effects of everything. What one person perceives as kind might harm somebody else. So it's hard to call anything definitively kind.
So in the world, we often think someone is kind if they have a benevolent intention for us. If they're sort of, like the car salesman who's smiling and says he's giving you a good deal, but is actually tricking you, we wouldn't say they're really kind, right? We usually attribute it to their motivation. But in terms of Buddhism, something is kind if it benefits us. So it depends on your state of mind. Even if someone says some sharp words to you, some criticism, but because of your alertness and you're thinking of the Dharma and thinking, this is a result of my past karma, I must be patient. And if that person, those words have benefited you in that you make some Dharma understanding, you would attribute that person as kind. That's why when we talk about bodhicitta, even enemies are kind to us. They give us a chance to practice patience. They give us an opportunity to practice patience. to recognize the Dharma and so forth, practice the training of the mind. So bodhicitta, the teachings about bodhicitta, and bodhicitta itself is kind because it benefits us. Even, you could even say the bodhicitta, the nascent, the baby, what do you call it, sprout of bodhicitta in our mind that might appear once in a while, that's also kind because when it appears, it benefits us, it inspires us and so forth. So it says, through relying on the kindness of bodhicitta, you will quickly complete the path as well as the result of the Mahayana. So basically, this benefit of bodhicitta, you could explain it in other ways, that as a result of the earlier benefits of bodhicitta helping to purify negative karma, it's the strongest state of mind that can purify negative karma. It's one of the most powerful ways to accumulate virtue by doing any actions with bodhicitta motivation, even giving a couple of grains of rice to the ants as they come out the hole. There's a little anthill, you put some rice there, not feeling superior, like, thing like this, but thinking, oh, by this, may they and all sentient beings achieve enlightenment. You accumulate an incredible amount of virtuous karma. So diminishing the negative karma through purifying, if you have bodhicitta, accumulating a vast accumulation of merit, those are causes that will allow your mind to be fertile, to be able to make realizations. If you plant seeds in sand, dry sand, maybe you can plant some things in wet sand and something will grow. But if you plant seeds in dry sand, or what do you call a field that's been farmed so many years, there's nothing left in this, no nutrients left in the soil. What do we call that? Any farmers here?
Depleted.
What? Depleted, or yeah.
Fallow.
Fallow. Is that what you said? Fallow.
Fallow.
That's not the right word?
It isn't? Yes, I think it is.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, fallow. Susie, you're saying no. Fallow means something else?
I think fallow means it's being put aside to grow something that will benefit the soil so that you can plant other things, so you
Okay,
rotate.
yeah, okay, I understand. So maybe the etymology means
I think of a
it has
barren,
been depleted, but you set it aside in order to regenerate. Okay, that makes sense.
it's a system.
Yeah, got it. That makes sense. So because of the accumulating merit, depleting negative karma, your mind has become well fertilized and moist and so forth to be able to make realizations, to quickly complete all the grounds and paths. The 10th benefit, we will become a field that produces every happiness and well-being for migrating beings. In short, all the virtue and excellence of samsara and peace will arise from the power of bodhicitta. What does that mean? All the virtue and excellence of samsara and peace. What is peace? Anyone know? Nadine, you know. You must know.
Liberation.
Yeah, in the context when we talk about samsara or cyclic existence, peace is sort of the aim of the Hinayana goal of liberation, nirvana, moksha. All of those words are synonymous. The Bodhisattvas, even, although they remain in cyclic existence, they don't aim for solitary peace, their own nirvana, but all of the virtues and the excellence of samsara. Is there excellence of samsara? Susie's going to say something. No? Julie, what do you think? Jill Marie?
I don't know the exact meaning of that, but it sounds like the excellence of the best of it.
So in the foundation of all good qualities, one of the glance meditations on the Long Rim that Lama Tsongkhapa composed, right? Yundin Shigirma. You recite that sometime, Donna? You guys? One of the verses says, there is no, what was I? Chepe Mingo, there's no satisfaction in enjoying an enjoyment. There's no ultimate satisfaction. You like I had last night, I had eggplant parmesan, frozen eggplant, Michelangelo brand. And at the time there was some kind of pleasure, but because I had heartburn afterwards because of the spice and I couldn't sleep well, there's no satisfaction when whatever you experience in cyclic existence, it brings no lasting satisfaction. It's just sort of like one thing going down, and then you're going to want that again later. Chepe Mingom Dugnel Kungigo, it is they are the door to all suffering. That is to say, the perfections of cyclic existence. Lama Yeshe used to translate it that way, the excellences of cyclic existence. Good food, beautiful friends, love, sunrise, hot bagels, whatever. Chepe Mingom Dugno Kungigo Yiten Mirum, they're unreliable. These three qualities. There's no satisfaction in samsaric perfections. They're the doorway to all suffering because they perpetuate samsara, and you're going to suffer again, like taking rebirth again and again. They're unreliable. Even they don't always act to give you the pleasure that you seek. Chepe mingom dugno kungigo yiten mirum sipe punso. So the excellences of seeing the defects of the excellences of samsara, that verse says, grant me blessings to energetically pursue the bliss of liberation, the Dharma happiness. In short, all the virtue and excellence of samsara and peace, samsara and nirvana, arise from the power of bodhicitta. How can that be? Chandrakirti's Madhyamakavatara is called Entry into the Middle Way, or Guide to the Middle Way. David translates here. By Chandrakirti, it states the Shravakas, the hearers, that's one of the kinds of followers of the Buddha, right? The Arhats. The Shravakas and middling Buddhas, that's referring to the Pratyeka Buddhas, the self-realizing self-realizers, we could call them. The Shravakas and middling Buddhas are born from the powerful able one. That means the powerful able one means Munindra. Muni is, when we talk about Shakyamuni, the able one or the sage, Muni, powerful, not just a Muni in general, someone who's sage and so forth, but the Lord of sages, Munindra, the powerful able one. So the Buddha, his teachings gave rise to the Shravakas because they listened. Shravakas are called hearers, right? Do you know why they're called hearers? Anthony, do you know? You were going to answer a question earlier and I didn't call you in time.
It's because they list the mechanism by which that they attain enlightenment is through hearing the sutras or hearing different gurus explain the Dharma. Yeah,
they achieve their enlightenment, that is to say, that is not full enlightenment of a Buddha. They achieve, because the word enlightenment we often think of as just meaning like Buddhahood, but in the sutras, we talk about the enlightenment of the Shravakas, the enlightenment of the Pratyeka Buddhas, means their respective goals, achieving nirvana. So they hear the teachings of the Buddha, either directly or through other disciples. They sit down, they meditate, they contemplate, they meditate, they make realizations. And once they've realized, they teach and cause others to listen to the teachings. So they're called, the Tibetans call them Nyente, Nyen means hear, To means listen, sort of means the same thing. They first listen to the Buddha's teachings, Shakyamuni, the Munindra, and then once they've made realizations, they cause others to listen to them. So they're called hearers for that. The Shravakas and middling Buddhas are born from the Buddha, essentially, his teachings. The Buddhas are born from Bodhisattvas. What does that mean? Adriana, what do you think? Do you know?
The Buddhas are born from the what? From the Dharma?
Bodhisattvas, the Bodhisattvas. So the Shravakas and Pratika Buddhas are born from the Buddha. That means that the Buddha teaches and they follow his teachings. They become Shravaka, they become Arhats. The Buddhas are born from the Bodhisattvas. How is that? The Bodhisattvas teach the Buddhas or what?
No, because of your Bodhicitta, you attain a Bodhicitta. If you're a Bodhisattva, it means that you have Bodhicitta in your mind stream. And so eventually through that practice, you will become a Buddha.
Good, that's a good way of understanding. That's one way of understanding. Also, in addition to that, that's completely right. But in addition to that, we say that all of the Buddhas who become Buddha are guided by Manjushri, who takes the aspect of a 10th level Bodhisattva, like Manjushri holding the wisdom sword and the Prajnaparamita text. So sort of like also the Buddhas are born from the guidance of that wisdom Bodhisattva while they're Bodhisattvas, the 10th level Bodhisattva. So the Shravakas and middling Buddhas are born from the Munindra or the Buddha. The Buddhas are born from the Bodhisattvas. The mind of compassion, the mind of non-duality, and Bodhicitta are the causes of the conqueror's children. Here it says sons. You can say sons. What we talked about before, one of the benefits of Bodhicitta is once you develop Bodhicitta, you are considered to be an offspring of the Buddha's son or daughter, because you will eventually become like dad, the Buddha. Okay. So what is this? So we say this is a famous verse in the Madhyamaka. So the mind of compassion, which we talked about, is very important. The mind of non-duality. What does that mean? Carmen and your companion. I'm not sure if Carmen is the woman or the man. You're Carmen. What is the mind of non-duality? What does that mean? You have to unmute on your computer there.
I'm sorry. I'm here in Colorado and I don't have my mouse. Can you hear me?
Okay, no problem.
So I was having problems. Yeah.
So what is the mind of non-duality?
The mind of non-duality. Yes. Non-duality. Well, we in this world we see everything in dualism, right? Like good and bad, and everything is opposites.
Yeah.
But the mind of non-duality, I think it talks about you interbeing. We're all united. It's like talks about union, like that's what I understand, anyways.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm
Good.
right.
That's good. But beyond that, usually in Buddhism, when we talk about these subjects, non-duality is not talking about just recognizing there's no, there's something beyond good and bad. It does relate to that. Basically, it means the mind that realizes emptiness. Because if you realize emptiness, you realize all appearances of good and bad are empty of that reality that we attribute to them, that there's something that's really good or really bad. They're just appearances. So the mind of non-duality means the mind that recognizes emptiness. So we say the mind of compassion, the mind that recognizes emptiness, and Bodhicitta are the causes of the conqueror sons, or in other words, the Bodhisattvas. So the Bodhisattvas arise from compassion. That's sort of like the initial seed, as we'll see in the coming pages. When we talk about bodhicitta, that's the most important element to develop bodhicitta, compassion. They also, the bodhisattvas practice through the various stages as a result of realizing emptiness in addition to compassion. Having compassion, enhancing that with the realization of emptiness. And well, maybe Geshe will mention, I don't know if we will get that far today. Generally, there are two kinds of, numberless kinds of disciples, but we can say in general, those who are aiming to achieve bodhicitta, we can say they're generally two types. Those who are dull facultied, like me, and those who are sharp facultied. I don't want to cause anyone to feel proud if I say like Laura or like Yeshua or something like that. So what does that mean? The dull facultied bodhisattvas, they don't have generally there's certain faculties that we talk about: wisdom, concentration, mindfulness, like this, perseverance. Those who are dull faculties don't have a great abundance of those powers. They try to develop bodhicitta through the method of the 7 elements of cause and effect. Have you heard of that before? The 7 methods of cause and effect? Trin, have you heard of the 7 causes and effect?
Oh no, I am such a beginner.
Okay, so
I'm sorry.
we've alluded to it before. So for instance, recognizing all sentient beings have been your mother, remembering that they've been kind when they've been mother numberless times, developing a responsibility to repay their kindness, giving rise to a loving sort of state of mind that sees all sentient beings as beautiful, heartwarming love. That gives rise to compassion. And as a result of compassion, one develops the 6th cause of bodhicitta, which is called the exceptional thought or universal responsibility. And as a result of that, the final effect, 6 causes, the final effect is bodhicitta. So generally the bodhisattvas of dull faculties, they develop bodhicitta through recognizing all sentient beings as their mother. They're also called followers of faith. Have you heard that expression before? Anthony, you've heard that? What does that mean? Followers of faith.
It just means that maybe a little easier to say through a comparison. You have the alternate and people that are sharp faculty that recognize emptiness and have the experience of emptiness and are able to kind of access compassion and altruism through understanding that equanimity that gets generated through understanding that everything is a dependent arising, that nothing exists in and of itself substantially, it can't be the cause of its own existence, so that all things are interconnected. And you can get compassion through seeing all beings the same, as opposed to, like, I love this being, I hate this being I don't know, kind of indifferent towards. You give all beings the same love because you recognize that all beings, we all have the same wish for happiness and the desire to avoid suffering.
Okay,
and that
good. So generally we say the practitioners of dull faculties, the bodhisattvas of dull faculties, mainly they don't depend so much on realizing emptiness to develop bodhicitta, whereas the followers that are sharp faculties, like the greater wisdom, concentration, so forth, they're also called the followers of reasoning. So 2 different ways of labeling: dull and sharp, followers of faith, followers of reasoning. So the followers of reasoning depend on the mind of non-duality to develop bodhicitta, just as Anthony is alluding to. Recognizing that there's no inherently existent self, the way that our mind is believing something, real self here, recognizing that that doesn't exist at all, they have the courage to be able to work for the benefit of others as a result of that wisdom of emptiness. So we say the mind of compassion, the mind of non-duality, and bodhicitta are the causes of the conqueror's sons, conqueror's children, or the bodhisattvas. So Shravakas and Pratika Buddhas are born from the Buddha. The Buddhas are born from bodhisattvas. The bodhicitta, the mind of compassion, and so the bodhisattvas are born from the mind of compassion, the mind of non-duality, and bodhicitta. Okay. So as this states, all the happiness and well-being of this world arises in dependence on the kindness of the Buddha. The Buddhas also emerge in dependence on a bodhisattva who is one with his own mental continuum. You could say that. So as I think, I'm not sure, one of you had said, sort of interpreted that way, you're a bodhisattva first and then you become a Buddha. And the bodhisattva also arises from the teachings on bodhicitta. The middling Buddhas are called pratika Buddhas because they have not perfected their realization of suchness. Well, I'm not sure that's correct, but anyway, that's what the text says here. They are called middling powerful ones. Thus, it is only this precious bodhicitta that is indispensable for the attainment of enlightenment. Therefore, we must train ourselves by making this the central focus of our practice. A famous yogi called Yogi Mahayogi, Neljor Jembo, he said to Drondenpa, one of the disciples of Atisha, I offer my realization of perfect concentration, trying to say, that's what he was offering his practice to Drondenpa. He says, perfect concentration, I offered this to you. Drondenpa said, you keep your vows well, although you are not stained by even the most subtle faults of engaging in your vows, and you may have such excellent concentration that you would not be disturbed by someone beating a drum right next to your ear. If you don't have love, compassion, and bodhicitta that I have, my love, compassion, bodhicitta, you should generate regret and perform confession day and night. Anthony, you have a thought?
Yeah, I just have a quick question. In talking about the people that use faith versus the people that use reasoning, is that the same, or is it kind of in the same mindset that those that are using faith are using relative bodhicitta, whereas the reasoning and the sharp faculty are using absolute bodhicitta to kind of are cultivating that aspect of it?
So if generally the followers of reasoning, because of sharper faculties, they can analyze or use reasoning to realize emptiness. If they realize emptiness before because that's going to be a cause, as a result of realizing emptiness, they are able to engage in a quicker method to develop bodhicitta, which is the practice of equalizing and exchanging self and others. Because of that, they can achieve realization of bodhicitta. They can actually develop spontaneous bodhicitta much more quickly than those followers of faith, that are slightly duller faculties that don't have the ability to analyze emptiness and realize it first. But when they realize, say the followers of reasoning, when they realize emptiness, Anthony, is that ultimate bodhicitta?
emptiness is the ultimate bodhicitta, as I've been understood, as I understand it, and I was taught, is emptiness, whereas compassion.
Teach you Italian mudra. You know what that means? I had to learn, and I thought you moved your hand. No, you just move the finger. You know, there's mama says, you know, don't, you know, blow your nose at the table or something like this, you know. So emptiness, first of all, is not, emptiness is not ultimate truth. Emptiness is ultimate truth. Emptiness is not something special. Emptiness is everywhere. What's special is the wisdom that realizes emptiness. Even the wisdom that realizes emptiness is not called ultimate bodhicitta alone. The Shravakas and Pratika Buddhas, the followers of the Hinayana, who become arhats, they realize emptiness according to Nagarjuna and Chandrakirti and Lama Tsongkhapa. They have to realize emptiness to achieve their goal. But in their mind stream, their realization of emptiness is not called ultimate bodhicitta. What ultimate bodhicitta means, once you've developed conventional bodhicitta, which is the wish to achieve enlightenment for the sake of all sentient beings, if that realization within your continuum that's held by conventional bodhicitta, your realization of emptiness, your wisdom that realizes emptiness, is called ultimate bodhicitta. Just emptiness alone is not called bodhicitta or ultimate bodhicitta. Just the wisdom that realizes emptiness alone is not called ultimate bodhicitta. Only the wisdom that realizes emptiness in the continuum of someone who's an actual bodhisattva, who has conventional bodhicitta, then that understanding is called ultimate bodhicitta. Okay? So, oops.
Why is that ultimate bodhicitta, George?
Say again?
He said, why is that ultimate? Why is that considered? What is it about being a bodhisattva that makes the realization of emptiness more profound than just the realization of emptiness?
Because within that person's continuum, they're utilizing their realization of emptiness to achieve enlightenment for the sake of sentient beings. The Shravakas and the Pratyeka Buddhas are not utilizing their realization of emptiness to benefit sentient beings in the same way. They're, you know, they have compassion for sentient beings. They have love for sentient beings, but they'd like to get out of samsara. Like that old, I can't remember the rock and roll song, you know, we got to get out of this place if it's the last thing I ever do. No. So the motto of the Hinayana is, I've got to get out of this place. I've got to get out of samsara. The Bodhisattva's motto is, we've got to get out of this place. You know, I've got to get everyone else out. Sort of like they're the person who leads all the people out of the burning theater and so forth. So it's called ultimate bodhicitta, the realization of emptiness within their mind, because it's a special kind of bodhicitta. It's not just the wish to achieve enlightenment for the sake of sentient beings, but it's the understanding that all phenomena are empty of inherent existence that is held by that mind. What does it mean by held by? That means influenced by bodhicitta, conventional bodhicitta. The wisdom of emptiness is then called ultimate bodhicitta. It's sort of influenced, or technically the word is zinba, or held by conventional bodhicitta. Does it make sense?
No. Perfect.
No? Huh?
Clear.
Ryan, what do you think?
Yeah, this is good.
Yeah, and I'm asking Ryan Draper. Can you speak, Ryan? I guess.
Yes.
Yeah. So are you following?
Yeah.
So,
trying to.
so the person of sharp faculty who can understand emptiness first, they have some insight into emptiness. At first, that allows them then to generate bodhicitta more quickly. They don't yet have actual bodhicitta, spontaneous bodhicitta. So they don't actually, their realization at that point is not called ultimate bodhicitta, their realization of emptiness. It's only when that same realization, some years later or months later, when they've developed conventional bodhicitta, then that realization of emptiness in their continuum is labeled or called ultimate bodhicitta. Okay, does it make sense?
Yes.
Okay. So I thought I'd mention this last time. Avadutipa said to Atisha. Does anyone know who Avadutipa is? Was? So Atisha had three main gurus about bodhicitta. You must know, some of you must know some of the names. Patrick, do you know any of the names of the gurus of Atisha who taught him particularly bodhicitta?
I can't bring it to mind right now.
One of them was called Serlingpa. Ser is gold, Ling means island, or Suvarnadipa. He's the one that Atisha traveled 13 months by sea to get to Indonesia and studied with him for 13 years, got all of the teachings on bodhicitta. Another one was Maitreya, the one we talked about earlier. And another one was this one, Avadutipa, another guru of his. So Avadutipa said to Atisha, although you may have concentration as firm as a mountain, you have not reached perfection whatsoever. That sounds kind of daunting, right? Instead, you should train your mind in love, compassion, and bodhicitta. That was the quotation. If you don't have love, compassion, and bodhicitta, no matter how much you meditate on Mahamudra, sort of very high teachings, Dzogchen, the channels, winds, like psychic fire and so forth, Tumo, maintaining the mind's essence and so forth. Without bodhicitta, you will still be turning the wheel of samsara. You'll still be, reborn within cyclic existence. Lacking the eye of intelligence to distinguish what is and what is not a path. The eye of wisdom, that means not, if you don't know what to follow and what not to follow, lacking the eye of intelligence to distinguish what is and what is not a path is the fault of not meeting a lama, a guru, who teaches the path. At Rateng, this area where Drontempa started the famous monastery. I had a chance to visit when I was in Tibet. At Reading, Drontempa asked, what are the three brothers doing these days? They referred to three particular disciples. He was told, Kanglumpa is meditating on bodhicitta and cries. Drontempa offered his praise, saying, he is a true Dharma practitioner, and so forth. Don, you have your hand up. I don't want you to keep your arm must be tired now.
Actually, keep talking. I like what you're saying.
Okay.
I'll come back.
Like in the class, teacher didn't call on you, your arm gets tired. And if, despite our desire to attain enlightenment, if we don't have the desire to train our mind in bodhicitta, this is kind of contradictory, right? You want enlightenment, but you don't have the energy to train in bodhicitta, then no matter how much effort you put into other paths, we will not get anywhere. Khedri Trijang Rinpoche, Lama Zopa's teacher, Lama Yeshe's root guru, the guru of so many of the Gelugpa Lamas, said, the best thing that we can do right now is to try to create the causes of bodhicitta by meditating on the 7 points of cause and effect, or equalizing and exchange with others. He said, that's like real bodhisattva practice at our level. Therefore, you must see the absolute necessity of doing everything you can to at least establish the imprint of the entire path through the Lam Rim, like doing the glance meditation on the Lam Rim every day. If you only have bodhicitta, yet don't have any other good qualities, still you are a Mahayanist. Even you don't have good concentration or anything else, you are a Mahayanist. Whether or not you attain the state of enlightenment strictly depends on whether or not you have bodhicitta. Therefore, you must make a sincere effort to elicit an experience of bodhicitta by applying yourself to it for months, for years, for lifetimes. Done? What do you think?
Yeah, sounds good to me.
Okay, put your hand down. You must be tired. Come on.
I don't know how to put it down.
Okay, there you go.
Put it down. Donna put it down for me. Thank you.
So I don't know, who did I ask here? So Michael, you have any questions?
I still have my question, George.
Oh, you put your hand down, but okay. I'm asking Michael first. No, Michael, what do you have any
I'll
questions?
defer to Don. No, I was fascinated, and I proceed,
Okay.
Don. Go ahead.
Okay, yeah.
No,
Okay,
a
Don.
couple of things, and that in the development of bodhicitta, exchanging self and others, particularly, I've heard teachers say that the different ways to develop love. One, in 7 cause and effect, you see mother, all sentient beings is mother, remember their kindness and so on, and wishing to replace their kindness and like that. And exchanging self for others, you remember that everybody wants to be happy, nobody wants to suffer. And one of the teachers that's come to the Godamba Center has said in the past that that's the most powerful way to develop love, is to remember that everybody wants to be happy and nobody wants to suffer. And we're all equal that way. And I just don't quite get it, how that warms my heart. No, I mean, I understand it intellectually, and it really helps me connect with people, when I'm with them, but I don't feel like love, that I don't feel as the warm, fuzzy feeling that I feel when I remember the kindness of my mother and extrapolate to all beings and so forth. So help me with that.
Okay, so you're not from the hippie era where there was love for everyone. You're a little more skeptical. Yeah. Okay, so the love that's being referred to here is not generally what we call Maitri, or Maitreya, the loving one. When we talk about love and compassion, Maitri is love in Sanskrit. In Tibetan, we say Jampa, the Tibetan name Jampa. Many people have Jampa. Compassion is, in Sanskrit, is Karuna. Some of you know Karuna, Ketan out in California. In Tibetan is Ningje. So those two, if you have one, you'll have the other. If you have love, you'll have compassion. If you have compassion, you'll have love. But what's the cause here of, what's the result of recalling that all sentient beings have been your mother, remembering their kindness, feeling the responsibility to repay their kindness, that gives rise to not love per se, it gives rise to what's called, you could call it heartwarming love. It's not actual love that wants others to be endowed with happiness. It's just a sense of when you encounter them or think of them or see them, a feeling of closeness and warmth, like heartwarming. So we call it Yongwe Jampa. Jampa means love, but Yongwa means attractive or heartwarming. Yi means mind, Ongwa means coming to mind, so coming to mind, or something that immediately see them. Like I mentioned, Atisha, when he would look at the cows outside his residence, and people could hear him underneath his breath saying, "Mother, mother." I remember in Delhi one time when Mommy Max, any of you know Mommy Max, African-American nun who's out in, I think she's out in Santa Fe right now. She was the benefactor of Kopan School and the boys in the early days when we first got there. Don, you know Mommy Max, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So sometimes she could be a little bit cantankerous, And I remember one time she was scolding Lama for something, and I could, when she was turned away and Lama was saying, "Mother, sentient beings," still, recognizing that heartwarming love. So in general, in these two methods, that they can be joined together, that is the 7 points of cause and effect and equalizing and exchanging self with others. They can help one another, or you can practice them separately. When one of them, you don't make any more progress with remembering the kindness of sentient beings and so forth, you can change over for some months or years to especially putting effort in equalizing and exchange with self with others. When that you reach an impasse, you go back to the other. They sometimes say it's like the two edges of a sword. 1 minute, Ali. 1 minute, okay. I'll call you next. It's like the two edges of a sword. If you're using one sword to cut the tree, one edge of the sword, and it gets dull, then you turn the sword around and use the other edge, right? Hopefully, while you're doing that, someone is sharpening the other edge. So, in equalizing and exchanging self with others, you still have to develop a sense of warmth towards sentient beings. The equalizing oneself with others is based upon also understanding emptiness. You with me, Don? You're very dark there, so I don't know if I can't see if you're looking at me.
My living room is just not well lit. Yeah, I hear you.
So, say for instance, you recognize, as I've mentioned before, there's no inherently existent Don Brown. Sorry to tell you that.
Ouch.
Yeah, ouch. Did you say ouch? Yeah. There's no inherently existent Don Brown. Actually, what you consider self, me, could be something different. You could expand your conception of self to all sentient beings because they are equal to you in wanting to be happy and wanting to be free of suffering. From that point of view, your feeling for them is the same feeling for yourself. You want yourself to be happy, right? When you think of yourself, you think, oh, Don. So that it's not just alone in abstract thinking that sentient beings all want to be happy and want to be free of suffering, but with respect to the sense that you can identify with them as yourself. When they experience suffering, you feel uncomfortable. When they feel happy, you feel more relaxed. That's the sense there. But you generally, in equalizing self and others, you enhance your sense of love for them by recognizing they have been kind to us, not only when they've been mother in the past, but even when they've been strangers and enemies, because they've helped us purify our negative karma. In the present and in the future, they have benefited us. Even the person who brings the milk to your doorstep, I don't think anyone does that anymore. Maybe they used to, the milkman or the postman, you might say, oh no, they're doing that just to make money. They're not kind. They benefit you. The people who build the roads that you can drive your car on, they benefit you. Every sentient being is beneficial to you. You can enhance your sense of heartwarming love for them, especially in the equalizing exchange of exchanging self with others, where you expand more than just the kindness of the mother. Now, Ali, you had a question, and I'd asked you to be patient, so thank you for holding a second.
Yeah, sorry, I don't know how to do the little hand raise thing. But the way that I was just going to add a comment. The way that I practice that, the greatest love that I've ever felt towards, another being in my lifetime here has been when my children were newborn babies, So what I try to do in practicing compassion for others, for all sentient beings, I try to view them the way that I viewed, my children when they were newborn babies, and try to feel that same love for them. And it also expands then to when they're acting out or doing something that you perceive as wrong, that you don't like, it's coming from a place of them not knowing better rather than like actually being malevolent or bad. It's just they're acting in a way trying to be happy and they don't know better.
Good. Yeah. Good thought. So one thing you have to, so you might say, why don't the scriptures talk about seeing all sentient beings as your children? Why do they talk about having been your mother? One of the reasons is because a lot of our love for our children is based on attachment. They're mine, and there's a sort of partial love. So you have to be careful there. When you think of other sentient beings, like in the same way that you feel for your children, that you're not partial toward them because they're yours or something like that. Okay, so we've reached our time limit, right? Where's Donna? Did she just? There's Donna. Should we do our dedication first, or you want to do this little ritual of mandala offering?
Let's offer the mandala first so we can dedicate all the merit.
Excellent. Okay. So, sometimes in the teachings it says that mandala offering is the condensation of all the methods of accumulating virtuous merit, virtuous karma. So imagine the whole world system, the whole universe, all of the excellences, the 7 precious objects that the Chakravartins have that you have the karma to achieve sometime, your present things, all of your virtues, all in the form of the mandala offering to the omniscient mind that provides all the impetus for all the teachings that we have now.
Sajipuki Tukshing Metog Tramri Rabling Shi Nidek Padi Sangye Jingdu Mikte Ua Idro Kunam Dag Jing La Chuparshok Jetsun Lame Kucherabten Ching Nam Kartrin Le Chok Churge Padang Lo Zang Tenpe Chen Me Sasum Hydro Women Cell Talk to Nek Your Chig Idam Guru Ratna Mandala Kam Nirya Tayami.
Thank you very much. So let's dedicate the merits that we've created this evening. The merits we created last week, the week before that. All of the merits you've created with Geshe-la and Lama Zopa and Dalai Lama, everyone else, all the merits you created in past lives, all the merits that you will create in the future, all the merits that you've ever, that you have any association with your mind, mental action, make a firm determination that you're giving up sort of self-interest in these, in the sense of them bringing you some kind of pleasure in the future in samsara. In whatever way they ripen, may they become a cause, an aid in my spiritual development. If I'm wealthy in the future, may it not become a cause of miserliness or pride, but may I use that wealth to benefit sentient beings through the action of charity and generosity. If I'm attractive, may it not become a cause of, egotistic self-interest, pride, and so forth, but may I use that to interest others in the teachings, to bring them into the fold. Whatever way my karma ripens, may it become a cause of my spiritual development and benefit for all sentient beings, all times, up to and including my eventual achievement of enlightenment for the sake of all sentient beings. A state in which I can effortlessly, spontaneously lead sentient beings out of suffering into everlasting happiness without any error whatsoever. Due to these merits, may I quickly become a Guru Buddha and lead each and every sentient being into that very same state. Okay, thank you very much. Hey, we did okay. A couple of minutes, just a couple of minutes over. Thank you so much for your attention. Have a wondrous Christmas holiday, all the other, holiday festivities. What is the other, what's it in Judaism? Is it Yom Kippur is not around Christmas. What's the one around Christmas time?
Hanukkah.
Hanukkah. I don't know in Islam or other religions. Have a great holiday and hope to see you again in the future. I think this is my last talk on our little series now. Geshe-la will be back with you on Sunday, and give him my best and hope to see you again in the future.
Thank you so much, Venerable George. Thank you.
Thanks for your attention.
Thank you, Venerable George.
Thank you, Venerable
Bye,
George.
everyone.
Because I don't know how to.